59. Hadn't done anything in a while, so I thought I'd come out here in the shop and I'd do something. I'm gonna let you know right off the bat, this is gonna be a rather lengthy, whatever, long video. So if you're not interested in things that go on in the Bible, you may not want to watch. I was doing a little thing on creation and evolution, and I want to talk about the flood a little bit. There were so many things that happened during the flood and after the flood. Most people don't grasp what happened, what's going on, and why the flood happened. I know some people say, oh, there never was a flood that covered the complete earth. If you believe in God and you believe the Bible, and if you do a little research, listen to people that have talked to people all over the world. It makes no difference whether it's American or Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, African, Hindu. It doesn't matter. They all have a story. It's their own version of the flood. So it's not like one part of the earth has a theory of the flood. It's the entire world. Anybody, any nationality or whoever you talk to has some version of the flood. Now I'm going to read a little bit. This is out of the New International Version, the King James Version. I'm going to read just a little bit, and then we're going to talk a little bit. And I've got a marker in here, and this is my loved sister, and most everybody knows what one of these are. It's her funeral. My sister died in 1971, November 2nd. November 20th, 1971. She was 27 years old. Died with a muscle disease. And I was 13 years old when she passed. And Lord knows I miss her even now. But I'm going to lay her down right here for a second. But I'm going to read out of the Bible, and I want you to listen for just a second. Then we're going to talk about it. Like I said, this is going to be a little lengthy, so if you're not interested in the Bible, if you're dead set that evolution is the way, you may not want to listen to this. But if you're kind enough and you're curious enough, and these are only, I'm going to read from the Bible, but then my thoughts are just going to be my thoughts, what I think, So anyway, in Genesis 7:6, and this is kind of interesting. The very first thing it says, Noah was 600 years old. Now I want you to remember that, because things in play has happened. But Noah is 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives entered into the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds and of all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, as God has commanded Noah. And after the 7 days of the flood waters came onto the earth, in the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. And the rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And I'm going to stop right there for a second. If you have done any research in the Bible, if you've done any reading of the Bible, of the floods and of those natures, people in Noah's time lived a very long time. I mean, even here it says he lived 600 years. He was 600 years old when the floods came. Now, God had warned Noah, and I didn't go all the way back. I started where he was getting on. But God had a reason for the flood. The reason of the flood is where where it really starts getting into depth, where I don't think a lot of people can understand or comprehend what was going on. Now, the Bible here says that there was so much violence and unclean things that was going on, that this is why God flooded the earth. Now, if you back up a few verses, back into 6:15, it tells how big the ark was. Now, this is broke down into feet, but in the if you actually go back and read it, it talks about it being in cubits, and we'll talk about cubits later because most people don't know what a cubic is. But this breaks it down. The ark is to be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Now, it also tells him that it has to be covered with, what's it called? Let's see if I see it right quick. I don't see it right offhand. But basically what it is, it's pine sap. It's sap off of trees. He tells him to completely cover the outside of the ark and the inside of the ark with pine rosin. But it also tells me to make 3 levels: a lower level, a mid-level, and a high, top level. And he also tells him about putting a roof on it, and the roof is to extend like 16 inches above the top of the ark. I mean, it goes into pretty well detail telling how to build the ark. It also talks about putting 2 of every kind of animal on the ark. And there's where most people have their problem. You can't take 2 of every kind of animal in the world and put them in an ark that size. Yes, you can. Yeah, you can. You got to think about it. Now, God told him to put 2 of every kind of animal into the ark to replenish the earth. Now, first of all, why would you want to take 2 full-grown any animal when you're trying to conserve space? Now, first of all, they're older, they're going to die quicker. So you take the young ones, the babies, the little ones, the ones that don't take up a whole lot of room, then they've got a full life ahead of them to breed and produce and live for a long period of time. They don't take up much room. They don't eat much. So there you go. And if you'll notice, and I'm not going to go back and look for it because I just read through everything. Yeah, here it is. It says take 2 of every kind of breathing animal with nostrils. Okay? 2 of each kind. He doesn't say take 2 of every breed. 2 of every kind. There's only 1 dog. Now there's thousands of breeds, but a dog is a dog is a dog. So if he takes 2 puppies, a male and a female, he's got all the dog breeds covered. Okay? Actually, man is the one that started breeding dogs for different reasons and come up with so many different breeds. My dog. Okay, Molly. So if you break it down like that, and it talks about the birds, okay? It says take 2 of each kind of birds. So does that mean he took 2 of all flying creatures? No. He took 2 of every kind. Like, he might have taken, and this is for instance, he might have taken 2 sparrows, okay? Out of these sparrows could have come all the different breeds of birds. He could have taken 2 ostriches, which is a totally different kind of bird, and all of the ostrich family came from that. You take 2 cats, take 2 little kitty cats. They don't take up much room, but over a period of time, they breed and you get different kinds. See, different breeds, not kinds, different breeds. It's just like snakes. He could have took 2 snakes, 2 baby black snakes. These 2 black snakes could have bred into all the different breeds they are now, okay? So this is what we're trying to break it down to. You know, God didn't take 2 of every type or every breed. He took 2 of every kind, okay? He took babies. They don't take up much room. They don't eat much. All right, now, get on back to the flood. You've got to understand, too, if you read into the Bible, it says, he tells Noah that he will bring the animals to him. All he's got to do is prepare it and put a door on the side of it, prepare it, and he will bring the animals to him. When he brings the animals to him, he tells Noah, in 7 days, go ahead and load the ark. Start loading it with food, all the different kinds of food that the animals are going to need, the food that you and your 3 sons and their wives and your wife are going to need. You've got 7 days. All right? On the 7th day, Noah and his 3 sons and his wife and their wives go into the ark. They pull the door shut, and it says God shut the door and sealed it. Okay? All right? It started raining. Now, why, and I'm going to lay this down, why would anybody panic because it started raining? Well, see, you've got to understand, before the flood, it had never rained on the earth. Yeah, I know, some people are already saying, oh, it's always rained. No, it hasn't. Go back and study the Bible, and go back to your scientists. Even the scientists document that they don't believe it ever rained before this so-called flood. Okay? This was something people had never seen. Water always came from the ground, from the springs. The ocean was there, which was salt water they couldn't drink, but there was freshwater springs, just like we find all over the place now. We've got one on our property down on the lower side. It's a spring head. Water comes up out of the ground all the time, all year, all season. I mean, it never stops. Water comes from the ground, and that's the way people got water. They dug wells and got it, but they were also natural springs. But when God opened up the heavens and it started raining, it'll say that he also opened the floodgates of the springs. Okay? So these springs are now not just seeping water, they're gushing water. Okay? God's taking all the water that's down inside the earth and he's rushing it up. Okay? Now, as this is going on, you got to understand what's going on here. It's like the Titanic. See, I knew the Titanic sunk and a lot of people died, but I never understood or felt what these people were going through until I watched the movie. Those people went through a lot of terrifying stuff. Okay, it's raining. People had never seen rain before. They didn't know what to expect, didn't know what was going on. I guess they might have thought the sky was falling. I don't know. But you got to understand, see, at that period in time, there was a bubble of water that surrounded the earth that stayed above the atmosphere. And now scientists will tell you they don't know if it was vapor, if it was solid water, or if it was frozen. But they know there was water there at one time. All this water starts coming down onto the earth. Okay, it's steady coming down on the earth. All of a sudden, these wells and springs are just exploding with water. Earthquakes all over the earth because the water's coming out. As the water comes out, there's nothing to support the ground, and the ground is starting to tremor, and it's starting to give way. And as it gives way, water starts coming up. So this created a lot of valleys and created more mountains. Now, there was already mountains here, but this created more mountains. This is where you see 2 parts of land that has split, and one has went up like that. That's where the plates, one give and one went under the other. And if you look around, you'll see them. I mean, even the mountains here in North Carolina, you go up and you look, you see the layers of the mountain, but you'll see those layers are turned up. So now you got layers going in a horizontal, or I'm going to say a 45-degree angle, but you know what I'm talking about. That's what happened. That's where the plates give way and moved in like that, and the mountains came up. But can you imagine never seeing water come down before? All of a sudden, the water coming out of the ground, the earth is moving. You know, it's panically moving. Water is gushing. And God says that he killed all living life on earth, including the animals. Now you think back, why would God want to kill the animals? Well, if you'll read the Bible, back up and read it, it says that God talked with various people of many different ways of killing people on the earth. But God had already said that Noah was true and clean. He walked with God. He was blameless. He had nothing. God had nothing against Noah. So if God was going to destroy the world of all the evil, then that meant he would have to somehow protect Noah, and Noah alone. He was the only one that God called clean. And if he was going to destroy all the evil, Noah's wife, Noah's son, Noah's sons' wives, they would have had to die too. So God says that even if he brought a plague and protected Noah, that his wife would still have to die. If he brought in disease or anything that God done, if he's only going to keep Noah, then everybody else had to die. So God said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a flood, and I'm going to allow you, just because I have favor with you, I'm going to allow you to bring your wife. And instead of just you and your wife replenishing the earth, I'm going to let you bring your 3 sons. But your 3 sons are no good without their wives, so I'm going to let you bring their wives upon. So this created 4 men and 4 women to populate the world again. And that way, they were on the boat, they were all safe, they listened to God's command, they done what God told them to do, and they were all on the ark and safe. Now, here's where a lot of things go wild. The water's coming down, the water's coming up, the earth is being covered. This says that the tallest mountain was covered at a minimum of 20 feet of water. Okay? So, that's a lot of water on the earth. It's a lot of water. 40 days and 40 nights. That's a long time for it to rain and for water to be coming up and all this. Can't you imagine the people that was beating on the ark and begging Noah to open the doors and let them on, and the animals just running wild trying to find high ground, and man trying to find high ground to get away from the water, and you can just kind of imagine. It would have been terrifying, very terrifying. But God kept Noah and his wife and his sons and their wives and the animals safe on the ark. Now, there's a lot of explanations. There's a lot of theories of where the ark landed. There's a lot of theories of how the ark stayed together without breaking up, because if the waters are so high that they've covered even the highest mountains by a minimum of 20 feet, you know how ocean water gets, and this ark would have been following the water the same way. And it's been proven that a wooden ark or ship of that size, as it come up on a wave, the nose of the boat would be so heavy that it would break the boat coming back down. So there's a lot of theories as how Noah actually built this ark, that it didn't collapse within itself, how it didn't break apart. And that gets into a whole different story. Kent Hovind actually has a theory on that, which I think is the best theory of all there is. He's got a theory on where the ark is at. He's got aerial pictures. He's got evidence in that area. He's just fantastic with the evidence that he's got on where the ark is. That would be something to check. Kent Hovind. He's under Dino.com. He does a lot of creation and evolutionist debates. But you go in there and look, you'll find the one where he's talking about the ark. But these are some things, and see, this is where things really, really get wild. You know, I said, or I didn't say, the Bible says that Noah was 600 years old. It was not uncommon for men to live to be that old before the flood. The next question is, why do we not live that long? I mean, if somebody on earth today lives to be 100 years old, we think that is just way on out there. That's fantastic, you know. But Noah lived to be 600. Now, that's documented. And if you go back and you do all the research of his sons and his, everything that went on, it actually comes up to 600 years. So, how can man live 600 years before the flood, but we're doing good? Really, I'm going to say we're doing good if we make 70 years old now. So, what happened? All right, and I'm going to cover that in another video. This one's already long enough. But stay tuned. Watch for it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to do it in another video. What happened? We know rain come down for the very first time. Water's flooding up. Got all this going on. But what changed the earth? What happened? What's different now? Up until that time, and I believe that's when the dinosaurs and all were wiped out. Now, your evolutionists will tell you that man and dinosaur didn't live together. All right, so why do the drawings in the caves show dinosaurs and men standing side by side? If man had never seen dinosaur, how did he know what a dinosaur looked like? There's colors on the walls in the caves of dinosaurs. They actually found a Tyrannosaurus frozen, complete, and the colors of the skin on the dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus, and there's some unique colors in it, was also colored on the walls of these caves. If man had never seen dinosaurs, how would he know what they looked like, how they stood up, and the colors, the coordination of the colors? Stay tuned for part 2.